Good afternoon. This is Sunday, June 13th, 2021. I'm Dwayne Todd, producing another video for the YouTube channel America the Beautiful. And we have a website where you can find all videos, media, #ATB.com. Today, I'm going to be speaking about a subject that is, in some parts, very personal to me, and is a very pertinent subject when we begin to talk about America and its potential, which is what America the Beautiful website is really about, pointing out the great virtue that we have available to us through our American society, through our democracy. But democracies and all civilizations are threatened on a constant basis by common themes. And the theme on which I will speak today, using some very personal anecdotes, is about one of those characteristics that is common to all and which can be extremely destructive. And I'm talking about pride. Ezra Taft Benson was a farmer, agricultural expert. He served as the Secretary of the Agriculture in the Eisenhower administration for its duration between 1953 and 1961. Later, he became president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he served in that capacity from 1985 until his death at the age of 94 in 1994. In addressing the members of the church not long after he assumed leadership of the church, he gave a talk entitled Pride, the Universal Sin, simply meaning that pride is a sin that we were all guilty of. Paul said that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Well, one of the ways in which we have all sinned is in pride, or in having pride. C.S. Lewis was an Englishman, at one time an atheist, but later a devout Christian member of the Church of England. But as quoted on the subject of religion, I suppose about as much as anyone in the history of the world. He said of pride, "A proud man is always looking down on things and people. And, of course, as long as you're looking down, you cannot see something that is above you." He also said, "Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. It is the comparison that makes you proud, the pleasure of being above the rest. Once the element of competition is gone, pride is gone." My wife, before me, and then I, had a friend whom I will refer to as Tim. That was his name. I will not divulge anything else about him, except to say he was charming and well-dressed and well-spoken He was, in fact, triracial. He was part African American, part American Indian, and part Anglo. Tim had a brilliant mind, and as I said earlier, a winning, charming personality. But Tim had a flaw. He was a gambler. He would gamble at golf, although he wasn't a very good golfer. He would gamble at pool. He was a pretty good pool player. And he would gamble on sporting events. He loved sports, followed sports closely, and bet heavily, often unsuccessfully, on sports. But he also gambled with cards and would frequent long-running poker games. One night, after a poker game, a dispute arose between he and another person. Words were exchanged. They got in their cars. They harassed and chased one another. Ultimately, an accident occurred, and as the police were coming to investigate the accident, Tim fled the scene. Sometime later, some months later, this same man showed up at a card game in the middle of the afternoon, at which Tim had come to drop by, check in. The man with whom he'd had the altercation earlier saw him. Words again were exchanged with the statement, "My gun is in my car and I'm going to get it now," which he promptly proceeded to do. Tim left the location, headed for his car, and as he was going, shots began to be fired by the man who had indeed retrieved a gun from his car. Tim was hit once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, until he had been wounded by bullets, 8 different wounds. But he was still able to get to his car, to start his car, and to begin to leave the premises. As he did so, he had 2 directions that he could turn: away from the person holding the pistol, or toward the person holding the pistol. I do not know the answer to this question. I can only speculate. But perhaps Tim thought he doesn't have any bullets left in his clip. Regardless of the reason, as Tim proceeded toward the man, rather than taking a turn and going completely away from the man, he drove directly at him. The intent being, I think, to hit him with the car. Well, the clip was not empty. There was one bullet left in the chamber, and it was fired, and it pierced Tim through his throat, severing his spinal cord above the shoulders, resulting in his being a quadriplegic, unable to use his arms or legs, required to spend a great deal of time in a breathing machine every day. For a time after his accident, he lived with my wife and I. His injuries incurred in 1992 ultimately ended his life in 1998. So rather than accepting the valor of running away to fight again another day, Tim, his mighty pride intact, bleeding from 8 separate bullet wounds, decided that he was too proud to accept this man getting the best of him, though he truly had gotten the best of him. And as that final shot severed his spinal cord, Tim's life was over. The man went to prison. He may remain there. That is of no consequence. This was an event that should have never taken place. This was a waste of a human being with great potential, great human capability, wasted away over the dispute over a few dollars at a card game. As we face our sundry challenges today, let us strive in every way to be humble, to not be prideful, to seek to understand, to lay foundations upon which we can meet together as equals and talk out our differences. I know that this condition can exist. I know that humankind, in its inherent desires, would prefer to help people. Let us begin helping people by understanding where our pride weaknesses are and addressing them. And know, as we encounter various circumstances in the world, we will be confronted with pride again and again and again. I so testify. I am Dwayne Todd. This is America the Beautiful.